Take two, amazingly, because something came up and I had to do something else. It's been a crazy couple of days, and a lot of things has been happening. I'm gonna try not to get into any of the other past stuff because I want to talk about the important day that I had today. I had my custody mediation meeting, and let me tell you, I have nothing ever prepares you for the flow of emotions that come from hearing a lot of things were said. Talking to Xavier's, well, I didn't actually directly talk to Xavier's mother. I talked to the mediator, a guy named Josh, and we talked. I told him about my 1 year plan in four quarters, 3 months at a time. The first 2 to 3 months, it'll be Skype videoing. Well, my suggestion was Skype videoing, or some kind of face to face, so he gets used to what I look like, and real time interaction. And I knew that as hard as I work, because in the past 3 years I've been able to at least be able to not only come up with a plan, but a way to execute the plan that it'll be fair for both of us. Because I'm assuming that she at least was working on something the past 3 years, but I'm not gonna get to that yet. So after the first 3 months, the next 3 months would be six. The month 3 to 6 would be family therapy with a forensic therapist who specializes in child trauma and dissociative behavior. It worked on both favors, mine and Xavier, and I figured it'd be a lot better than a supervised visit by a government official who isn't really that trained in anything other than watching kids and making sure nothing happened. I believe that this specialist would have been great to not only be able to observe our behavior, but be able to go, okay, because I'm going to be stuck. I would have been stuck. I'm like, okay, well, here is a 5-year-old child. Granted, my child, I didn't grow up with him for the past 3 years, and I want to know more, but I'll be petrified. I'll be like, so what you like to do? Like, how's school? But with the specialist, I'm sure that the specialist will be like, because I already talked to the specialist, and the specialist was already like, okay, well, we can do this or we can do that, and she'll give me examples and exercises for me to do with him that would be able to bridge the gap between me and him to integrate our lives together. That'll be for the next 3 months, and then the 3 months after that would be, I want to say overnight stays, like a weekend kind of thing. No, I think it's actually like a physical. What it is unsupervised visits. It would have been months 6 to 9. Months 6 to 9 would be unsupervised visits. Would mean I'll go over there and we'd actually just hang out. I'll take him out to something. I haven't really thought that far out yet, but like on the Pacific exact event, maybe we'll go to an amusement park, or maybe we'll watch a movie. Or maybe we go. I'll find some kind of activity between month 6 and 9. I'll find some kind of activity because I want to believe that's like month March through May. Yeah, and then the last quarter. No, that's not. Forget the month. No, this month 6 to 9, and then month 9 to 12 will be actually overnight visits, being like whole weekends. And that was my plan. And trust me, I worded it a lot better whenever I was actually on the when I was at the mediation meeting, and from the sounds of it, it sounded like the mediator was kind of like, oh well, you seem to kind of have this kind of well planned out, and he was like, okay, well, Xavier's mother, what do you propose? She's like, I didn't think that you'd be that not worth the word, but she seemed like she was kind of thrown off guard, and she had nothing really prepared. She's like, yeah, I just thought you just come up here to Erie. I'm like, I don't have the funds for that. I would love to, and I'm not entirely sure how well that would have worked. Me just going up there and just be like, oh, it's a supervised visit. Like, my plan was actually like, okay, this is how I plan to integrate with him at a very comfortable level for him. And she was like, well, this is what I can do. And I have to admit, I was kind of mad and upset. Like, 3 years, and this is what you come up with? 3 years of not dropping the PFA, 3 years of not, talking to PO or anybody for that matter. And not only that, but excommunicating anybody who did try to, without my knowledge, of course, but people who try to like advocate for me, like, oh, this is what you need to do, and you didn't do any of that. Not a drop, not a word, not a message. It's only towards the end, and only towards the end, and then by that time, I'm already established, and I'm not trying to mess that up. I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, hey, how you doing? And then I get locked up because I had communication. Like I wasn't gonna mess that up. Heck, technically, I'm still kind of iffy about whether I could have had communication on this, but like I'm hoping that like the mediation was a safe government facility with the mediator and what have you was safe ground for that. But she was like, she can't even drive halfway, and I'm like, I'm making an effort. I am coming halfway with you, or expecting you come halfway with me. Heck, like, I know we're not married, but even in something union with a child, you're supposed to come halfway with the other parent. It's not just going to be like, oh yeah, you just do all the work and I just, sit back and let you do it. Like, if it comes down to it, I'll find a way to do it, but that's definitely not the way it should be done. Like, you can drive a car with your feet, but that's not the way it should be done. So I was granted very upset by that, but at the same time I was like, okay, then let's try this. I'm gonna give you some more time since you know the plan that I have in effect, and I'm guessing because of the way she reacted that she knew that the mediator was very much okay with the plan that I had. I was like, let's just worry about the first 2 to 3 months. We'll regroup in January. We'll do Skype every other weekend or every weekend. And she goes, well, he has a really tight schedule. He goes to school, does homework, yada yada yada, and afterwards I'm like, okay, I understand, and that's good, that's great. And I'll say that's great. I'm very much a routine kind of guy. And she goes, and he goes to church. I'm like, oh, which is really weird because Xavier's mother was definitely not the church going kind of person, but obviously things have changed, as have things with me. Well, we ended up coming to the conclusion for the first month. We'll try every Saturday, in this month of November, every night Saturday. I'll get an hour with them on Skype or whatever medium that she happens to have access to. Because apparently, not only does she not have a car, she has very limited data, very limited time. And I don't know any of the specifics of her life, but like, and she says that she really only gets one day off a week, with that being Tuesday. And I'm like, well, someone who works that often and you have limited resources, it seems very odd. And considering that I think she has been settled in that location for at least 2 to 3 months, she should have been able to be a little bit more established in where she was. And that's not even talking about the 3 years prior to that. People told me before that she was jumping from place to place. That's none of my business, but at the same time, if you knew this was coming, you knew I wasn't just going to sit back and not try to interact with my son, that there wouldn't be some kind of give and take, and you really just seem to be very much on the, I'm just going to not make that effort to at least come with them halfway, knowing that this is something I was going to do. Like, heck, I would have tried a way to debunk the PFA, or the restraining order, I guess would be a better broad term to use for everybody. But, like, it's just, like, I'm upset by that. I'm not going to down talk her. No, I'm not. But I am upset by the lack of preparation for this. Because, honestly, like the Better Me Committee, the Legacy Project, I mean, most of the things I've been doing, have been preparing for this event. And she's just kind of like, yeah, I'm not ready. No car, no real phone to be able to do that on, like, whenever. And however, we just have to hope that we have enough data then. And it's like, well, if you don't have enough data, but you work all the time, what else are you spending your money on? Who knows? Maybe she's in school. She might be. Maybe she has payments to make on something that she did earlier. I don't know. But I understand that. Like, I was just kind of thrown off by that. But we were able to come to the conclusion that up until December, in January we'll have another mediation, but in December we'll talk again. Well, until December we'll have the video chatting with Xavier. She doesn't want the adoptive family involved at all, which, I was going to try to argue with that, but I honestly felt that the best course of action was whatever best suited Xavier. And I felt that as much as I wanted to fight that, I felt that fighting with her would prove that I am not that we are not ready. That I'm not ready. And I definitely want to be able to see Xavier. So I'm like, hey, we will revisit this next time. January we'll talk about that. Heck, you know, we'll see how that goes. And I mentioned to her, you have to allow people to show you that they can be good. You have to be compassionate, understanding, and loving. It's things that she taught me to do. And then she's like, well, I don't want to give up primary. She didn't want to share primary physical or legal custody at all. I mean, like, it was a struggle to try to convince her that, well, you made no effort to really try to come halfway with me on anything, and here you are trying to, like, oh, and you can't, you have no rights to say anything because it'd be easier. Xavier shouldn't know my adopted parent. People who have looked out for me for the past 3 years, they shouldn't be involved because that would confuse him. Yeah. I'm trying not to, bad talk. I'm not going to talk about, whoever she happens to hang out with, either when she was still here in the area or over wherever she was traveling at. She wasn't worried about, this, that, and the third. But these people actually looked out for me. These people, when no one else was able to take me in because of what had happened, they were like, hey, we'll help you out. And as much as I sometimes argue and vent about, the behavior, but these people, they didn't have to take me in. These people didn't have to take an African American mental patient in who has a criminal record. Like, I don't have the cleanest anything, but they know that I mean well, that I try to do good now, make up for the bad that I did in the past, and they were able to look past all the bad and realize there was some good in him. There's enough good in him that we can trust him, and I've done my best to not let them down. Now, I understand with their daughter, my sister, adopted sister, Linan, she's not exactly the easiest person to get along with. By a long shot, not at all. And she's mainly the one reason why she doesn't want to really be involved in any of this. But I expressed to her, look, Linan's not involved in this. She's not part of this. We've taken a step back from Linan. Why? Because of Xavier. Because of me and Xavier. And we found a way to make this work. Now, you have to allow these people to show you that they are good people. These people are good people. But we are not going to address this right now. We'll address this next mediation. But right now, let's try to focus on the 2 to 3 months of the video chatting. Figure out the details and everything else like that. So, yeah, there's that. And then, God, hearing her voice and then hearing her argue with me was very interesting. Because, like, I have to admit, like, I'm argumentative. No matter who you are, no matter what you say, I'm very argumentative. So whenever she started, like, what was it, 3 years ago, whenever you scared the crap out of me, and I was about to, like, well, if you did it, I'm like, whoop. My brother was like, hey, this is not about that. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Look, let's get off that topic where this is not about us. You want to talk about us? Let's set up some one-on-one therapy. You sit in one room, I sit in another room, and the therapist just run back and forth. We're not doing this now because this is about Xavier. And she's like, yeah, you're right. And I think that I heard the mediator kind of be like, okay, well, this kid definitely does have a good head on his shoulders. And I honestly believe that he sees that. And I want him to see that. I want her to see that I mean well, which is why I think eventually she actually came in like, okay, shared custody. Right now, shared custody. Because she knows I can do this. Not kiss ass. That's definitely not the goal. My goal only is the legacy. My goal only is Xavier. And if I didn't have that shared custody, for any reason, for whatever reason, she could just pick up and go. And I have to trust that she's not going to do that, but she has to trust that I'm not going to go over there and take my son. Because that's not going to benefit him. Not at all, because he needs both parents. Never a resting moment. I'll be down! Business, as usual. Things have to be talked through, and I have a lot to prepare for. This showed me round 1, and that I barely made it through. Round 2 is in January, and I have to be prepared. Because if I slip up emotionally, because my hand hurts, because after that mediation, I was angry. But I won. But barely. But next time, I cannot just barely win. I have to do good. I have to do a lot of good. So wish me luck, guys. Next 2 months, I'm gonna have to shine. Good night, y'all.